friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Workshop. I am very excited and very happy, and you will see an even happier man later in this video. I'm happy to be bringing you the final version of this guitar build. Spoiler alert, obviously it must have turned out good if you're going to see a happy man. So yeah, it did. It turned out really wonderful, and I'm not going to spoil it any further than that. I'll let you see the full video. I think you're going to enjoy it. The reason I'm putting the front end on this is twofold. Number one, there's a lot of sound toward the end of the video and comparisons between different microphones and things, and so I would like to suggest that you get on a good quality sound system to watch especially the end of the video. And there could possibly be some volume differences. I didn't spend a lot of time editing the volume on the video. I did have to lower the volume in a few places because some of the new techniques and things that I was using did increase the volume a little bit, I guess. But the guitar itself, as it turned out to be very loud, so that's another issue too, and you'll see that later in the video. I also wanted to put this front end on here to thank you all for following this series of videos, and I know that many of you are very anxious to see how this turned out, and I appreciate all the views and all the likes and everything. And I also wanted to especially thank Leon Pruitt and Beverly Spencer for going out of the way to come out here and test out the guitar for me and show you all what it sounded like, and you'll see that at the very end of the video. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy it.
Hello friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Workshop. Well, we're on the final chapter of this guitar. We're at third base, heading toward home just as fast as we can. It's dusty and dirty. It's been hanging in the shop here for a month. I wasn't too worried about the dust because, you know, the finish is dry. It's just not dry, if that makes any sense. Dry meaning hard. These finishes will dry very quickly, but then it takes, you know, a month for them to get hard. So now this finish is approaching hard. After 20 days of just sitting there. The last day I put finish on it was September 11th, that significant day for all Americans. And it's looking really nice, but to be perfectly honest though, you can still see the grain shimmering there. Now that's not very deep now. You know, and for 3 or 4 days it was glass smooth, and I thought, okay, we got it, you know, and as it dried and as it dried and as it dried and as it got harder, it just continued to shrink. Lacquer, boy, I'm telling you, it's a pain. So you might understand after that why I struggle so much with finding a grain filler. Yes, I can. So many people have been so nice about this and suggested so many good products, but the problem is, especially on Padauk, you can see it. I mean, it's huge grain, first of all, and therefore when you fill it with something solid, you just see it. And even if you color it, it never matches this natural wood. Plus, this natural wood changes color over time. So I wanted something that was just purely clear as a grain filler, and I haven't found that yet. And then like 2P10 and all those different things, you know, they're just super glue, and super glue is not my favorite thing to be messing with in a huge area. A little area is perfect, but if you got to do this whole guitar in super glue, good luck to you. You know, have fun sanding for the rest of your life. Not to mention burning your eyes out, and you're no telling what it's doing to your brain. I'm telling you, that stuff's very caustic when you spread out very much of it. If you've never done it, you spread out a spot a little bigger than this, and it starts to burn your eyes big time. So anyway, all that whining to say, I've got a ton of sanding right here. I mean a ton of sanding. So even though we're at third base headed for home, it's about a mile from third base to those first 3 steps. And then the rest of it hopefully will be pretty much of a sprint. We've got a big bunch of steps to take here first. So I'm getting ready to put the, I think I'll start with 400. 600, 1200, that kind of thing. I kind of think these little spots are going to go away this time by sanding, and we can buffer out and we're done. I sure hope so. I've got several pieces of 400 soaking in the pot here, and it's hot water with some soap in the water, and that softens them up so that they do a little better job when you first start using them. I don't think we'll sand through the finish anywhere because we've got quite a few coats on here, and we didn't really sand through much the last time we sanded her down, and I put quite a few more coats on since then. So I think we're going to be doing well. I'm just hoping we can sand out all the deficiencies. Yeah, the little grain that I can see through the sanding here doesn't look bad, really. It looks really, really tiny. So hopefully we'll be okay. And yes, I know most people use a sanding block, but I just can't find hardly a flat place on this guitar, number one. And number two, all I get when I use a sanding block is scratches and buildup. In other words, it builds up on the sandpaper and sticks to it, and then I scratch what I've been sanding. So I'm not good with the sanding block thing. I just like using my fingers and moving it around. Keep it moving. If you stay in one place, you got problems. I've got hours of this to do, so I'm not going to film it, and I'm just going to show you what the end result looks like as we're done. I thought with this 3-piece back, it's the perfect opportunity to show you what the sanding is doing. You could say I went across this 3 times on this side here, and you can probably still see quite a bit of grain in there. There's quite a bit anyway. Then I went across this like 6 times in the middle, and some grain, but not too bad. And then I went across this one here like 9 times. And so this one's almost glass smooth. There's tiny little, I mean, if you're really being picky, there's a spot or two, minor little spots, but I think that's going to, you know, as I go to finer sandpaper and buff it out, I think that's all going to go away. So roughly about 9 times over it with the 400 is getting me about where I want to be. So I've got a lot more of this to do. Well, I know this won't really show up in the video much, but been over this 12 times on the body, on all the Padauk. On the top, I would say about 8 times, but 12 times on the Padauk, went over it with 400. Then I went over it 2 more times on the whole body and the whole guitar with 600. And, you know, and I also went over the neck and the peg head and everything about 8 or 9 times with the 400, and then 2 times with the 600. So everything's had 2 times over with the 600. It's starting to look pretty much glass smooth. I'm pretty happy with it. You know, you always want better, but you know, in all things considered and how hard it is to do that lacquer, I think we've got a pretty darn good finish. So I'm going on to, well, I was debating on whether I should just go to 1200 or 24 or 2000 or whatever, but I think I'll go to 1200 first and go over it a couple times with that. Well, friends, we've gone over it with 1200 now, and now we're going over it with the final 2000. I got to tell you, after the 1200, it's really looking nice. So I'm hoping that the 2000 will almost be like buffing it. It's really looking pretty. I'm just real happy with it. I was having my doubts when I first started sanding it with all that grain showing through. And I'll be perfectly honest with you, it wouldn't surprise me if some of that grain doesn't rear its head later on after this thing really dries again. But, you know, you can only do what you can do. And I've done the best I can do on this. That's all I can really honestly say. And I just know in my heart this is going to be one killer Canon guitar. So I can't wait to get it strung up. Of course, we don't even have a bridge on it yet, so after we get this done and get her buffed out, then we'll clean up everything here on the table, turn her over and put a bridge on it, give that overnight to dry, and then by tomorrow we ought to be stringing this puppy up. That's what I'm thinking. 2000, what I'm doing is, I overlap it. I take short strokes, I take long strokes, I do different things. And like those were fairly short strokes. Now I'm going to take longer strokes and go blend it all across there. And it works really good. I'm just doing 2/3 of it at the moment just to see if I see a difference between this unfinished side over here and this with the 1200 and the 2000. One thing you can tell after the 1200 is when you wipe it off like this, you start to see the water almost bead up instantly because it's getting to be such a slick surface. The water just kind of beads up, so it really looks nice. I'm just going to see if I can see any kind of difference myself between the 12 and the 2000. I got to be honest, I don't see a whole lot of difference, but I think there is a little difference. So let's go ahead and get this side done too. Happened upon an interesting phenomenon there. You see how kind of dull this area is and how almost buffed out that area is? Well, all I did was just hand rub it a little bit with just this paper towel. That's all I did. I just doing this, it's just got enough abrasive in it to really hand buff it out. It's making it look really nice. And now I can take it to the buffer and it'll probably even be nicer. It's really looking good. That's kind of neat. I never would have thought of that. These shop towels are very soft, but they got just enough, wood fiber, I guess you'd say, in them or whatever to just be enough abrasive to really polish this out. It's looking really good. I didn't put anything else on here. This is just dry. Wow, it's looking good. So we'll go ahead and finish the rest of it with the 2000. Dry her off real good with this and take her to the buffing wheel. Well, there's what she looks like after hand rubbing out. There has been no buffing yet. That's just all sandpaper. And then, like I said, believe it or not, all I did was polish it with just a paper towel. And it's got a nice shine to it. The top not quite as much as the darker wood, but it shined the top too. So I can't wait to go to the buffing wheel now. I think this thing is going to shine like a brand new penny. We're at the buffing wheel and we're ready to give it a shot. I'm going to start with this would be the coarse, even though it does the really nice job. Most of the time that's all I ever use is this, what I would call coarse, but it polishes it out very shiny. I think we'll start on the back. Oh wow, I am tickled with that. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, that's really turning out nice. difference in the reflection from this side to these two sides. Wow. Just beautiful. Couldn't really be much happier. Well, it's clingy. There's, you know, the dust and stuff coming off the wheel clings to it, and it's a little smeary and things. But I'll tell you what, you couldn't get one to look much better than that. Let me rephrase that. I personally could not get one to look any better than this. You know, I'm sure there are plenty of finish gurus out there that would probably rank this as just like a 7 or something. But for me, this is a 10, and I couldn't be happier. This thing really turned out pretty. It looks like that finish is one of those real thick, deep finishes, and all it is just buffed out, because I know the finish is not that thick. Well, now that we've got the buffing done, and you know, we don't have a bridge on it yet, but before I can put the bridge on it, I have to put the tuning keys on it. The customer chose the Waverly tuning keys, and this is an example of what they look like. They're really nice. This is the Snakewood. They're a chrome, but they've got the brass gears here, and so they're a combination of chrome and brass, and they really look nice. I like them. I just think they're beautiful keys. And I'm putting the bushings in right now, and before I can even get the bushings in, I need to clean out the holes because of overspray and different things that happens. So I'm just taking an X-Acto knife and just scraping the inside of the holes. And you know, you have to be kind of careful how you do that, because you have to scrape with the grain, otherwise you'll cut into the grain, because the grain's running down the length of the peg head. So it's kind of a trick. It's not as easy as it might just seem to do that. You know, you could do it with a round tool of some sort if you had something that would be exactly the right size to ream it with, but I don't really, so this is just about as good and just about as fast. I think I'm just going to take the half round file now and just kind of smooth them off a little bit up and down. The trick on this is you don't want to let it come out of the hole, because you'll scratch your peg head for sure if you do. So I'm taking very short strokes and mostly just cleaning it up. So we'll get all the tuning keys on here and show you what that looks like. Well, you can see the tuning keys are on now. I have 2 strings run down. That's just a temporary nut up there. That's just there for setup purposes. And I have the bridge floated, and I'll tell you what, just these 2 strings, you can tell this thing's going to be a boomer. Just listen to how clear. Now listen to this bass. It's going to be something. And I'm checking the intonation. Looks like it's right on the money. Just a hair flat. If anything, a hair sharp now. Come on now, give me a break. Well, that's really close right there. I'm going to check and make sure that everything looks good, and we may be marking it right there. I mean, I've really checked it 2 or 3 times now off camera, and it's really good. Maybe you can see the meter there as I hit it. Right on the money. right on the money. So I need to just look at it real good, make sure that everything's lined up good, and then let's get her marked. I'll tell you, just looking at it, it looks fine to me. And I think we're going to go ahead and I'm going to put a new blade in this, and let's going to mark the spot. Well, it's coming off not very easy, but not real hard either. Just kind of medium, and it's just going to take a while. So I'll show you what it looks like when I get her all cleaned off. Well, we got her all cleaned off, and we're ready to put the bridge on. I scratched the bottom side of this, and I also cleaned it with acetone, and I got a bug flying around here. That's all I need right now. Got a little more glue on here than I probably need. By the time I spread it on here, it may be okay. Just want to get a good thin coat on there, make sure it's completely covered, and then set the bridge in place. Yeah, and you can feel the bridge fall down in there because the finish is just thick enough to make it stay real good. So it's right down in there really well. Well, we're going to let that rest for a while now, and should have a decent bridge there. I've got these pins. They're snakewood pins that came with the customer's tuning keys, the snakewood tuning keys. And so these bridge pins match, and they are a little tight with the standard hole that I normally drill. So I'm going to try to ream them. Not sure. This little reamer's not really made for this, but I think it'll work if I don't go in too deep. That may work, but to be honest, it may still be too tight with when you get the string in there. So I'm just going to give it a little bit more. This is a very important moment. We're ready to put the saddle in and put the strings on for the very first time. I have fitted this saddle, I believe, should fit it perfectly. I believe it's going to be tall. You know, it probably won't be too tall, but it'll be a little bit tall. But that saddle is fitted in there just like, you know, you can't pull it right out, but on the other hand, it's not in there so tight that, you know, you can barely get a hold of it. But if you could get a little better grip on it, you could pull it out. I can lift it a little bit, but in other words, it's just perfect fitting. It's, you know, it won't fall out if you turn it over. There's no side-to-side play. There's no end-to-end play. It fits it perfectly. So now we're ready to start putting the strings on. And, you know, I'm going to go ahead and just take the time and do it right. I always file the little ends of these pins off at a bevel. Just, you can see there that it's more or less square on the end. And I'm going to file the end off on every one of them, a little bit of a bevel. You can see that now, how it's beveled off. And that way the string passes by it much easier. The ball on the string, that is. Slides down in the hole better. And seems to be fitting pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and put the strings on this thing, and I'll show you I promise you I won't play it. I won't hit a chord on it until I bring you back. Well, as you can see, I started that process. I got the first string on there. Then I got to thinking I ought to put that truss, you know, the truss rod nut and washer on there. And of course, you know, you always have to tweak it on the first time effort like this. And sure enough, the little washer is that I think will be fine. It's just a little tight, so I'm going to have to take the Dremel tool, get in there and clean that out just a little bit to get this washer to fit up on there snug. I might, you know, show you that I've got a little tiny ball on here. Now that's not my smallest one. I have one smaller than that, but this is pretty tiny, and that's what I'm going to get in there and try to clean this out with. I've had lots of viewers talk about using dental bits, and I have a bunch of those. As a matter of fact, I have probably close to 100 of them, and I do use those on occasion, but this has a longer shank, and I need the longer shank to get in there. Recently, a viewer even sent me some of those, thinking I didn't have any, I guess, but I do have quite a few of those dental bits, and I do use them on occasion. Taking it very slow and careful. I want to just see how tight it is. You know, I don't want to cut out any more than I have to. A licorice?
Yeah.
How much money? How much money you got?
Here's money.
Oh, you're not tricking me that way.
2 for Grandma. 2.
You want one for Grandma too?
Yeah.
Are you sure this will make it back to Grandma?
Yeah.
Or you think you might eat it before you get back to Grandma?
I will. How do you open the store?
Down and pull. There you go. So I took my little trusty chisel and got in there and finished it out, cleaned it up. Now the washer fits up there good and snug and flat. And a while back, I made these two, I don't know what you call them, tapered nuts, just to make it look official, even though they don't have to be tapered. But that kind of does make the tool go on there a little easier from the end. Well, I can tell I'm going to have to cut more out of there, so I might as well just do it. Well, I won't lie to you, that took a little bit of fidgeting, and I finally got her where I like her. And it fits in there pretty good and fits up on the nut pretty good and everything. It's not easy to do that, actually. And I'm going to put a little bit of tension on that now. And I'll take a look down there and see. Yeah, there looks like there could be just a hair of back bow in that, so we'll call that good for now. Well, as you can see, I've got the strings on it. I still haven't even tightened them up yet. They're still pretty loose. I haven't really played a note on it at all, even for tuning yet. And the reason is, I just want to try to get the action. I know it's kind of crazy to set the action this early, but I'm going to try to, get it approximate so that it's playable as soon as I tighten up the strings. I can tell the action's a little high in places, so I'm just knocking it down a little bit here, just to get it in the ballpark so that at least it's playable as soon as we tighten up the strings. Probably about 95 thousandths there on the bass side. The treble side's looking pretty good. The treble side's about 80. So we're not bad even on that. So friends, let's tune it up together. I promise you, I have not tuned it. This is the very first time it's coming up even sort of close to pitch. Here we go. I promise you, nobody's more excited than I am. So here we go. Get the tuner over here. Wow, listen to that bass, my gosh. Gosh. This thing is going to be a boomer. I knew it would. I'm breaking it in with light strings. These are those EJ 16s from D'Addario. They're not crazy light or anything, they're just standard light. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Here you go. Here's that first chord. Wow. Oh, the clarity is just incredible. Oh my gosh, it's so even toned. Oh my gosh. I don't know what to say. It's better than I really thought it might be. Well, I'll guarantee you this. If the customer don't like it or don't want it, I'll buy it back. He can have his deposit back, no problem at all. I've never had a guitar that sounds this good. couldn't be more even toned across it. I just hope the little camera is doing its thing today, because I can't never tell with that camera how the sound is coming across. Oh my gosh, it just honestly couldn't be better. I really was hoping for a lot, but I wasn't even hoping for that much. I'm telling you, it's just killer. It's just perfect. I couldn't even expect it to be better than it is. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And I'm sorry to brag so much, or, you know, to be that excited, but guys, when you work that hard on something and you've spent that much time on something and you've put that much effort into something, it's hard to contain. Oh no, doggone, I made a mistake. I screwed up. Something's missing, right? I forgot a pickguard. I can't play it till I get a pickguard. I don't think I have. Well, I might have a plastic one in stock. I don't want to put see, there's no plastic on this guitar anywhere, and I don't want to put plastic pickguard on the thing. There's nothing plastic. Even that button is wood. Everything on this, the tuning keys are wood. There's only wood and steel. And I'm not going to put a plastic pickguard on it. Oh no, what am I going to do? Let me look around. I don't think I've got a wooden one in stock, but let me look. Oh, I found one. I wonder if he'll be happy with this. Yep, I made it, guys. I'm just pulling your leg. It's solid wood. It's all inlaid wood. Let me just tell you about this. This is real ebony around here, the dark wood. The very lightest wood, the whitest wood, is maple. The red wood is the same as as a matter of fact, it came right off of the scrap of the sides. So that red is Paduke. And then this yellow green, and I'm sorry I'm colorblind, but it's yellowish greenish color. That came right off of the farm. This is hedge or Osage orange, and I cut that down myself. So we're going to put this pickguard on here. I have to decide exactly where I want it to go. There's not a lot of space here, but that's kind of good, because you often see people scraping right through there and making a big hole right there. So now keep in mind, it's a wooden pickguard, so it's not going to take the abuse that a plastic one would take. But on the other hand, I just couldn't put a plastic pickguard on this after working this hard. I might add that this is the item that we're going to, not this specific one, but we're going to give one of these away to my Patreon subscribers. And the only problem is I'm behind and I don't have it finished yet. So my Patreon subscribers who were waiting for a drawing on October 1st, I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm just so far behind on everything. But it won't be too long. I promise you we'll get that done. But so anyway, the people that are eligible for it are the people that are already Patreon subscribers. So don't go running to Patreon thinking you're going to get eligible for the drawing, guys. I'm sorry. I mean, I'd like to have you on Patreon, but only people that were on Patreon as of a specific date set out in the contest before, which I don't remember at the moment, are eligible. I'll have to go back and look at my contest rules. I can't remember. So I don't remember that, but I'll make sure that it's by the rules that I set the first time. But anyway, we're going to put this pickguard on here. It's finished with nitrocellulose lacquer, and I already put the sticky tape on it too, because I knew by finishing one side on something this thin, this thing is thin, folks. This is the same thickness as a little thin, cheap plastic one you would buy. So it's very delicate. You could break this just by looking at it. It's very delicate. So there you can see that the inlay goes all the way through. Now the problem is I get one shot at this. One shot only. I don't get to do this twice. And the reason is because this is wood. You ain't pulling this back off of here. So I'm going to look at this very carefully from a bunch of different angles before I let her stick. That looks pretty even right there. If it's not perfectly even, I apologize to the owner of the guitar. I'm going to get it as best I can because I only get one shot at this. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. It better be, because that's it, boy. I mean, you don't get to do that twice. If I was making that to sell, I said in the earlier thing about $150, but honestly, I don't think I'd make one of those again for less than $200. It's just so time consuming and so hard to do. And you don't have any fill, so you can't put a lot of fill around all that. It has to be airtight. So there's what she looks like up close on the guitar. I still need a pickguard to cover the pickguard, if that makes any sense. I think I'm going to put some post-it notes on here and let them hang down over this so that we don't take any chance of scratching. You called it quits and hung up the phone. Now go love the one you choose. My friends say I should be happy, but if I'm happy, this is a good imitation of the blues. You threatened to leave one too many times. Now I'm getting out my traveling shoes, and now that you're gone, I'm gonna be walking on in my good imitation of the blues. Oh, this is a good imitation of the blues. You called it quits and hung up the phone. Now go love the one you choose. And my friends say I should be happy, but if I'm happy, this is a good imitation of the blues. You threatened to leave one too many times. Now I'm getting out my traveling shoes, and now that you're gone, I'm gonna be walking on in my good imitation of the blues. Oh, this is a good imitation of the blues. Hello friends, Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks recording studio with a couple of my real good friends, and we're going to be putting together a little demonstration on the new guitar that we just finished building. I know many of you have watched the series. There's been about, I think 11 videos on this guitar so far, and you've been chomping at the bit to see what it sounds like and see it all put together. So here we go. Leon Pruitt on guitar, Beverly Spencer on upright bass, and they're going to pick a tune. Do you have any idea what you're going to pick? Because they have
Rag.
the Beaumont Rag. Here we go. thought that sounded pretty darn good. And Leon's real familiar with the guitar. He's been playing it for about 7 minutes now, I think.
Very nice guitar, Jerry.
Thank you. What have you got lined up next there, Mr. Leon?
Well, you know, I don't know. I thought we might do, let's see, a little Home Sweet Home.
Home Sweet Home. Okay, here we go.
Nice.
Have you got another one you can put on them, Leon?
Well, I don't know here. Let's see. You want to join in on this one?
You're going to tune one down?
We are.
Are you? What are you going to play?
Let's see. We're going to do the, as soon as I think of it, I'll tell you.
Let's see. Let me get a manual. I'll see.
Angeline the Baker.
Okay.
Angeline the Baker.
Do I have to tune down too?
No, you don't.
I could have picked it that good. Great job. Thank you guys for showing off that guitar for me. I appreciate that very much. Hope you all enjoyed that.
Well, my friends, I hope you enjoyed the look at the guitar, this final episode. And I want to say again, thank you to Leon and Beverly especially for coming out and helping me out. And Leon drove at least 2 hours to get here. It's just amazing that he would do that for me. I appreciate it very much. I thank you all for being so nice to me about all this stuff and all my whining that I did throughout the guitar build, because I did have a lot of issues that I had to get over. And I hope you'll give me a thumbs up on this. If this video doesn't please you, then I can't please you. There's no point in watching any of the rest of them. Thank you very kindly. Have a great day.